Hello everyone, we are Laurentiu and Alexandra, Master Certified Ascension Coaches with Twin Flame Universe.
And today we want to talk about trauma and how trauma can influence your twin flame journey. If you've seen our channel or our content, you know that we talk about the mirror exercise and how the mirror exercise is truly the only tool that you need to spiritually heal what happens in your twin flame journey. However, if you do experience trauma, or you have had trauma, or you have PTSD, or you experience flashbacks, the truth is that you might experience some hiccups with doing the mirror exercise, and we want to address them so you can first of all identify them, see if you're moving through this experience, and then to know what are the next steps for you to have success and continue to heal and improve on your twin flame journey. Okay. So indeed, when there is trauma, you can't really approach it with the mirror exercise in the same way. And that is because, Mr. Mal Practitioner, I'm gonna give it up to you to explain how trauma generally affects you as a person.
Yeah. So when it comes to trauma, just to have a bit of a definition of how a trauma looks like, because in the first place, a trauma is a situation you deem traumatic and never leave it. You don't feel basically safe enough to overcome it and you get stuck in it. So when that happens, if you think about inner work, like let's think of a pipe that gets energy from point A to point B, or water, however you want to see it. Usually with inner work, when you do mirror exercise or any energy healing, you have to get the energy from A to B. But when you have a trauma, what happens, it's kind of like you have through that pipe, you have a wall. So you're trying to get energy from A to B, but it gets stuck in the wall, so it never gets to B. And that's why you cannot really go through the trauma with just a spiritual tool or mirror exercise, because you'll get stuck in there and you never really get to the other side. Usually when you get there, or you're trying to use the mirror work on this trauma, you'll experience feeling stuck, you'll experience feeling maybe powerless, you'll experience feeling like you cannot do it, that's impossible.
Being frozen.
Frozen, yes, thank you. That's the word that I was looking for. So, being frozen, you're experiencing some flashbacks, you're experiencing some memories, and you'll have a harder time even taking responsibility over your feelings. Because when you're in trauma, it's not really compassionate to take responsibility over what others did, because you have to honor what everybody did in the situation. You have to move through the trauma to get over it, so you come into peace. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you're having these symptoms, you most probably are in a trauma. And if you are in a trauma, it's really important to overcome it, because, as I said, when you're in the trauma, you're not going to be able to overcome some upsets, even if you know you're kind of doing that, because you're going to have a hard time taking responsibility over certain things, because you won't feel safe there. You'll feel bad, and it will feel like you'll get stuck in that space. So you won't be able to spiritually overcome some stuff. And that will reflect in your twin flame, because they will remain in the same space. Mm-hmm. So when you want to actually overcome it, it's about really going to the trauma. The way I did it and the way we did it, it's going through mind alignment process. And that technique, I personally learned it because I loved it so much. We received so much. So when I healed first time my trauma, I saw with Alexandra how it helped her as well, because she was able to change some things and feel better as I was healing my own trauma. Mm-hmm. And the other way around as we move through our traumas, because your trauma will affect your twin flame, will get them stuck in a space, or will make them act with you in a certain way, the way you are kind of stuck in the trauma. Because the point of your twin flame is to show you things in your life, even if they don't feel so good at times. They're not going to do it intentionally. Alexandra did trigger me often with stuff that I was traumatized, but she didn't want to. She didn't know that that's going to happen. It just happened, just because twin flames. Mm-hmm. But the point is, if you really want to work through it, you have to use the proper tool. And this is a tool that we can recommend, because we use it and has worked for us and has supported us. Like personally, before healing the traumas, I remember first time I was very afraid generally, and I was very I was feeling overall bad in a more general state. That was about a bit of a general feeling that I had. And was just how to say this, more like, I feel to say meek.
Mm-hmm.
Like just this energy of like being more like in, but in a very scared way, rather than being out there and being myself. And after I healed the trauma, that really changed. Because with your twin flame, like if you're meek or if you're like this or if you're scared, they're not going to be able to see you properly. It's going to be harder for them to notice you. It's going to be harder for them to connect with you. And this is one of the biggest things, connection. When you have the trauma, you're not going to be able to connect with your twin flame in that space because there's that wall. So it's always going to be you on one side, your twin flame on the other side of the wall. So you're not connected. And the connection there doesn't happen because you're not twin flames, but doesn't happen because there's a wall. Once you heal the wall, you can figure out if actually that person is or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one place that people might get stuck in thinking someone is a twin flame, but may actually be traumatic connection that they're trying to have because people will go in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So with MAP, the way it kind of works and the way it would help you, you'll, for example, you can have a free call with me for 15 minutes. We can discuss about it. We can see about if you really have trauma or not. I'm going to help you get clear first of all. You don't need to go through a program if you don't have a trauma. So therefore, I'm going to help you get clear. So don't worry. I'm there to help you, support you. And then like the program in itself, it consists of a whole process. It's not just one thing and then done. It's more like you have a 1 hour session where you work through the trauma, and it's in 1 hour and a half, and we go through that. In that space we go through the traumas. You can take up to 3 flashbacks. Usually we do that because first of all, a person when they move through the program or when they work through stuff, they actually have just to one, but it can happen to have a bit more, but usually it's the same core. And if it's the same core, if we just heal the core trauma, the other things, even if it's a repeat of the trauma, those will be cleared as well. So if you just heal the core trauma, all the other times when the same kind of trauma but different experiences happen, they will be healed as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have that in the first session. So in the first session we heal the trauma, but then we do have like a support session, which is one-on-one, where we go through the process of helping you release the things that you may be still holding on from the trauma that you may realize or not realize. It's kind of going through the process of upheaval. After going through MAP, you're going to upheave. It's kind of, if you think about upheaval, it's kind of like a detox. If you detox your body, after you detox, all those toxins need to go out. Same with upheaval. All those things that you've been holding on to in the trauma, or that wall basically, MAP comes like a drill and destroys that wall, and all that rock or from that wall will have to go out. So same thing. So then what happens, we have 12 weeks of meetings or individual, depending on which way you choose. And in there, I'm helping you how to live trauma free. I'm helping you kind of come in this space where how it is to live without trauma, and help you be in a space where you finish the program, the 12-week program, you're in a much better space where you know how to be without trauma, where you can feel good, you release a lot of things, and you can enjoy life much more. Of course, that it's very dependent on your choice. I cannot put a choice for you. You have to make the choice for yourself. It's a very important element. Nobody else can make a choice for you. So you have to be fully willing to make new choices and make the choice to heal trauma, because nobody else will be able to make that for you. And like I know, like we experience a lot of healing, and I still experience with people that go through MAP a lot of healing, and it's really beautiful to see them from when they have the trauma to at the end that they're not really bothered by the trauma, by the memory. They don't really have emotions about that. They feel just at peace, and they're able to do certain things that before they will just freeze when they will get in those situations, which is really awesome to see. That, you know, it's a huge change for someone to not have to live with certain emotions that they were just incapacitating them in different ways. So that's really a key element, and with your twin flame would be a huge element that, you know, like they just like when you heal the trauma, it enables you to connect with them, to be present with them, and not be triggered. Because let me tell you, when I had the trauma, like the traumas that I moved through, no matter what Alexandra would do, I would be upset. I would get triggered. I would just be very emotional in that space, and I didn't know why until I moved through the trauma. And then, oh, now I don't have that problem. Now that I moved through the trauma, she doesn't just trigger me by existing.
Yeah, indeed. Like if you have moved to trauma, if you like have PTSD in any way, being with your twin flame can be challenging because even by them not knowing, they can trigger your trauma, right? Because again, your twin flame will, their presence is just a healing catalyst for you. So it might not be compassionate if you don't want to heal or you don't want to face these things to be with your twin flame. But if you are willing to heal, if you want to be with your twin flame, we just wanted to share about this experience of the twin flame journey. So again, you can be equipped and you can know how to identify it, right? So just in short, the signs that you might be going through trauma, it's knowing that you have like experiencing troubles healing something with the mirror exercise, or experiencing the same thing kind of coming over and over again without you really being able to really pinpoint it or really just do the mirror exercise on it. Relating, like having flashbacks, like remembering things from your childhood that were, you know, traumatic, abusive experiences, unpleasant experiences, right? Other things can be just knowing that you have like a certain like attachment style, like sanctions attachment or avoidant attachment. Those kind of attachment style can be born out of like specific traumas as well. So if you have experienced troubles because of that attachment style, you can move through the trauma as well and heal in that space. If you experience just generally not feeling good in life and not knowing exactly why, it might be good to see exactly where these feelings are coming from and allowing yourself to open up to the possibility that you might have experienced trauma. I think like we only think about trauma to be, extremely gruesome experiences, right? Where there's been like members cut off or you're beheading people. Of course those are extremely awful experiences, and yes, indeed those are traumatic. They can affect you a lot, right? But in our experience, traumas can be even more subtle things happening that maybe you wouldn't think that they are traumatic to begin with. So it's important to not have like a judgment about what you feel has impacted your life. It's important to be open and receptive to exploring these. So again, you can explore your own consciousness. You can explore what is holding you back on your twin flame journey. And again, you can heal and move on, and you can experience the beautiful relationship with your twin flame that you feel in your heart that you can have and that you feel that you deserve. Okay, so I think this is all for the traumas. I hope again this video helps you. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and see you in the next video.